if you follow the same advice as the average person, you'll likely end up with average results.
Hello, this is the Hack Hour Podcast, a show where it's all about helping real, everyday, hard-working remodelers learn the secrets to having it all in life and business. And now, here's your host, Mike Minges.
Welcome back to the Hack Hour Podcast, where we help hardworking remodelers discover the secrets to thriving in both life and business. I'm your host, Mike Minges, and today we're diving deep into a topic that can transform your approach to both work and life. Why taking advice from the average person might be the worst thing that you can do. And more importantly, we'll explore how self-awareness, discernment, and going against the grain are the real keys to being successful and having it all. We're going to back all this up with some fascinating studies and insights from some well-known figures such as Joe Rogan, Andrew Huberman, and David Goggins. Plus, I'll be sharing industry-specific examples that relate directly to you as a remodeler. So buckle up, because this episode will change how you think about making decisions, handling changes, and ultimately how you can build the remodeling business and life you truly want. So let's start with the big question. Why is following common advice risky? And when I say common advice, I mean when you post on a social media or you're in one of your groups that you like to go to, and you ask friends, you ask neighbors, right? You ask family. When you're asking a bunch of people that haven't necessarily achieved what you're trying to achieve, yet that's who you're asking for advice. Think about that. Maybe you've heard well-meaning advice from your family or your friends or even other contractors, right? And it sounds safe, like, just look at what other people are doing. Why can't you just do it that way? You'll be fine. Work harder. That's just the way it is. But here's the issue. If you follow the same advice as the average person, you're likely going to end up with average results. And the average person is not always successful, exceptional, or insightful, right? Think about just how many other business owners you see in the remodeling space that aren't doing well. Think about how many you see that are struggling, or maybe just doing a little better, or maybe doing a lot worse. Think about how many people you bump into and they tried to do what you're doing and it didn't work, right? If you've ever played sports, some of the sports that I played baseball, soccer, basketball, I ran track, things like that, lacrosse. Typically on some of those teams, we'd have 30 people. Out of that 30, less than 10 were great. You'd usually have like 2 or 3 on the team that really stood out. So, and the rest of the people were what you would call, average, maybe a little above average, because they did make the team. I remember my high school soccer team. We were nationwide ranked. We were one of the top programs in the country. Just to be on the team, you had to excel, right? You had to come in shape. Our program, they would require, so 2 weeks before school even started, you would go to try out for the team. We were doing 2-a-days in high school soccer. One practice in the morning, you'd go home, get some lunch, you'd come back and have another practice in the afternoon. I remember the first day I showed up as a freshman, there were over 90 plus kids trying out for the soccer program. Back then, the way the coach did it was there were 2 programs. There was JV and varsity. Coach brought both programs together and had, for the first couple of days, single tryouts, right? So what I mean is both the varsity and the JV coach watched everyone. And so many talented kids went to this high school who wanted to play soccer. And most of them could play at any other high school in the area. But to play at our high school, you had to be better, right? And then once the cuts were made and we were down to about 30 people on varsity and 30 people on JV, then even with those groups, you only had a couple on each squad that really stood out, right? So what is it that makes these few individuals stand out? Why are they better? Why are they different? So what we have to look at as remodelers is, how do we stand out in our industry if we want to be successful, right? So think again about how many contractors are just barely scraping by, right? They price their services a little too low. They overpromise, right? They underdeliver. They are stuck in a cycle of mediocrity because they're just following what others are doing. They're not really sure what to do, and they're repeating possibly others' bad habits, all thinking that it's just going to get better if I work harder, right? Well, not necessarily. So science supports this idea. It shows how most people rely on what they call cognitive biases, right? It's like a confirmation bias or an overconfidence bias. It's how we distort our judgments, which leads to poor decisions. So there was a study, it's back in 2021, it was from Frontiers in Psychology. They revealed that, right, even professionals with years of experience fall into these traps. So if these experts struggle with flawed thinking, how much harder is it for the average person to offer truly helpful advice for you? You know, where do you go? So here's the kicker. If you're taking advice from, again, the average person, they're luckily stuck in the same cognitive loop, right? They're relying on shortcuts. They're making assumptions, and they're settling for average results. So as a remodeler, where every decision impacts your business and your clients, following this kind of advice can lead to cutting corners or underpricing your services or failing to meet your clients' expectations. I see this a lot in several of the social media groups for contractors where someone is struggling and someone who's been in the industry longer will say, well, that's just the way it is. And you need to suck it up. You have to get tougher, and you need a firmer contract. You need to tell that person to pound sand. I get it. The person who's giving the advice means well. They don't want the other person to go through the pain that they've gone through. But it's clear, you can see that the person who's quote unquote giving the advice doesn't have a good solution. They haven't learned how to overcome that issue, right? Other than by being defensive or getting angry or challenging someone to a fight. They really haven't learned, hey, maybe there is a better way for me to communicate. Maybe there's a better way for me to be more upfront and explain things better so I'll get different results. So I want to go through this, what I believe would be a very relatable example for you. You're working on a kitchen remodel and your friend tells you, just go right with the cheaper materials and you'll save on costs. But in the long run, right, cheap materials, are going to lead to more repairs, more complaints, going to lead to callbacks, right, and even damage your reputation for not putting out a quality product. So here you're trying to save money on the job when the reality is, or the real issue, you didn't charge enough in the beginning. And now you're trying to find ways to scrape out those last few dollars, right? And so everyone ends up suffering. Most likely you're going to end up spending more to fix these issues than you saved. And at the end of the day, the clients aren't going to be happy because they're not getting the best possible product either. So that's the trap of common advice is you make a bad decision and then you keep going down that road where others feed in and help give you more bad advice, right? It doesn't lead to a positive place. So, what's the alternative? How do you break out of this cycle of average advice and average results? The answer lies in some self-awareness and discernment. Enter Andrew Huberman, right? He's the neuroscientist from Stanford. He's done some interesting work and studied how the brain processes information, and he explains it in a way that I think is relatable for a lot of people, right? He helps us understand how our own self-awareness plays a critical role in decision making. So Huberman will emphasize that better decisions come from understanding how your brain actually works and how it can fall into cognitive traps and how you may actually need to be rewiring it so that you will have clear thinking. Now, Huberman's ideas, they tie directly into the Frontier study, right? And that's the one where we found people with what they call a metacognitive awareness. Basically, it's those that are more aware of their own thinking processes are far better at avoiding decision-making errors, right? So these individuals are able to spot flaws, not just in their own behavior, but also in the habits and advice from others. So sometimes you may not know what to do, but a key here is recognizing that the people that are throwing out advice, most likely they don't know what to do either. And at that point, your best choice is to not listen to any of that advice and search out people that are achieving the results that you want and seek them for advice. So as a remodeler, this is key. Once you start recognizing the mistakes that others make, you can avoid those same pitfalls in your business, right? Again, you know those other remodelers out there that are underbidding for their prices and services. You see them getting materials when you're getting. You notice that they don't have enough money to keep their vehicle up, right? They don't have enough money to pay their employees well. They don't have enough money to take the time and get trained and learn better installation methods and skills. So, yes, they might win a few jobs here and there, but in the long run, they're struggling. You know it, I know it, and a lot of their customers know it. And that's why they don't always get referred. So, and the reason is because they're not reflecting, right, on their pricing strategy, nor are they learning from their past mistakes. So don't follow the herd when the herd's in the wrong direction. What if you applied more self-awareness to your work? You'd start to see patterns in your own decision making that either lead to success or set you back. And that's where discernment comes in, right? You're no longer following what others do just because it's safe. You're taking a hard look at what works and you're making smarter long-term decisions. You start recognizing that, hey, I need to learn that skill, and cutting corners, these shortcuts, that's not getting me there. Maybe I need to settle down, buckle down, commit, and learn this so that 6 months from now, I'm in a much better place and I will be rewarded for years down the road because I took the 6 months to level up and learn that skill that I was lacking, right? Sometimes you have to step back, sharpen the blade, and then go back out and start cutting. So let's look at some other ways you can apply this in life and business and be practical, right? So start questioning everything. This is where your discernment starts, and it's a skill you have to practice. So when you hear advice, whether it's from a friend, family member, or even the other contractor, ask yourself, is this person successful in the way I want to be successful? If they're not, then don't take their advice at face value. Ask some more questions, dig deeper. Search out a more meaningful answer. Find someone who has connected the dots that you're looking to connect. Build self-awareness. So like Andrew Huberman says, understand your mental processes. Reflect at the end of the day. What decisions did you make? Were they based on fear, bias, or clear thinking? Maybe you took a job at a lower price because you were worried about losing the client. So ask yourself, was this a good long-term decision? Ask yourself, what would have happened if I had better sales skills and was able to communicate differently with the homeowner to where I helped them see that I could offer multiple pricing tiers for the project and how the other priced tiers might be a better option? Or how do I find a way to lower my pricing because I'm reducing the scope of work and not reducing how much I get paid? These are things to start being aware of and thinking of. Understand that a lot of times you're acting almost subconsciously, unconsciously. You're not even fully aware because you're just in the moment. You start getting worried or scared, and then you start making decisions that don't work for you long time. So this leads us into the next step where you want to be aware of and learn how to embrace being discomfort. This is especially important whenever you try new things. As we get older, we often are hurting ourselves by not exposing us to newer things on a monthly or weekly basis. We get stuck in a rut and we almost forget what it's like to not know how to do something and put ourselves back out there to be uncomfortable. Think about David Goggins, right? He's a master of mental toughness, and to the extreme, right? He's all about pushing through your discomfort. And this is a crucial skill in growing a remodeling business. Look, there's no doubt about it. You are going to face tough choices. This is a challenging industry. That is also why those that succeed do well, because they put in the time and the energy and they built their skills and they've learned how to navigate through that discomfort. So just like pricing your services at a premium or turning down jobs that don't align with your values, right? Those are tough decisions to make in the moment. But you have to start exercising that muscle, those decisions, to get stronger at them. They're not easy decisions to make, but they're ones that will set you apart from your competition. So let me share a little story, right? I've known a remodeler who they were basically just refused to discount their services. And no matter how tempting it was to win the bid, this person did lose clients in the short term, okay? But the ones that he did keep, those clients valued the work and trusted this remodeler implicitly. They understood that he was of his word and he stood by what he said. Over time, he was able to build a reputation for high quality craftsmanship, and he's now booked out months in advance at any given period. People are willing to wait for him to do the job because they understand that he provides quality and they know they're going to get more than what they've paid for. So that's the power of embracing discomfort. The fourth part here is start thinking long term. And this is where the Springer study on ethical decision making comes in, right? That's the study that shows how people who take time to develop a long-term strategy based on quality and integrity always outperform those who chase the short-term gains. So what does this mean for you? Well, Don't get caught up in what's easy right now. Wherever you are on your journey, start taking the longer term approach. Start looking out 6 months, 6 years down the road. Stop taking the easy way out on each job, right? So focus on what's going to build your reputation and revenue in the long run. Sacrificing today for 6 months to a year will pale in comparison to the results that will yield you year after year, 10, 20 years down the road, as opposed to building up a habit of always shortchanging yourself and repeating that for the next 6, 10 years. So thinking long term, this is a way that you can break away from being average and build something exceptional. Now, imagine this. You've finally shifted your mindset. You're no longer following common advice just because it's easy. You're embracing the discomfort and you're questioning every time you hear comments from the general folk. You say to yourself, I'm not so sure that's what I should do, right? You're practicing being self-aware. You question the status quo. And you're looking to make decisions now for long-term success. So what does that look like for your business? Well, in the remodeling world, you're going to find that you're going to have higher paying clients. Your level of work will represent this. You focus on giving your clients a quality product, right? Be professional. You communicate well. You're on time. Well, those clients that appreciate that also have friends like that, like themselves. So their friends most likely want nice things, want a quality remodel project, and want to work with a professional. So they will refer you to their friends because they trust you and they want to feel good about sharing good things with their friends. All of this takes time, and it just takes you building the foundation and starting the process. I can guarantee you, once you get that first great client, it will lead to the next great client. And then those two great clients will lead you to many more great clients. And it just starts to snowball from there. So think about Joe Rogan for a minute. He's constantly talking about questioning societal norms, right? And pushing past what's comfortable. I mean, he has built a podcast empire by refusing to follow the common path. If you apply that mindset to your remodeling business in your local area, the possibilities for you are endless. Your business will stand out because you are different from the competition. And when you combine that mindset, right, with the practical tools that you can hear from like a Huberman or a Goggins, the self-awareness, the mental toughness, the willingness to challenge yourself, you're setting yourself up for success. You can do this. Here's something else to consider. Nearly 50% of the independent remodeling businesses fail within 5 years, right? Over 34% barely are still in business after 7 years. So what is it that sets that 30-some% remodelers apart, the ones who are succeeding? Well, research from people like the Harvard Business School have found that the most successful remodeling business owners possess a few key traits. 1, they have curiosity. 2, they have resilience. 3, they have strong financial management skills. And they also have leadership skills. So, and you can see this and how it works out. If you're a leader and you want to learn to grow a business, you being curious and being open to learning new skills along the way. Anytime you're failing at something, it's not the other person's fault. It's the chance for you to say, I'm not succeeding because I obviously haven't perfected. I don't have enough ability in that area. I need to get those skills. That's how you improve any area that you're struggling right now. Quite simply, if you're struggling with your health and fitness, then we could get on a call, and I'm sure within a few minutes we could look at what you're doing and boil it down to, do you just not have the skills at understanding the proper diet? Are you not having a proper balance between how much time you're exercising, how much time you're working, right? How much sleep are you getting? What is the type of food? Is it that you don't know how to cook better? Do you not know how to choose better foods, right? We could boil it down and we could find the skill that you're lacking that's keeping you from getting the result. The same is true with your remodeling business. So it takes a level of curiosity and resilience. The reason it takes resilience is you have to be able to keep going in spite of the adversity, in spite of the challenges. The only way you get better and get stronger is by taking the hits, but keep on going and understand that, yes, this might be a setback today, but next time you'll be able to handle that situation differently. The financial management piece, that's crucial because a business needs money and it needs to earn and make money to stay in business, right? So you learning how to properly price your jobs and then learning how to invest that money, save it, not spend it unwisely, all leads to a success. And your leadership, by you being a strong leader, you will be able to help bring others along for the ride, and you'll be able to grow your business. So the remodeling business owners that are successful, they're also willing to take calculated risks. They're willing to take a chance because they balance that risk with like smart financial decisions. So they're in contrast to the remodeler who will often fail to rely on their own technical skills while they are neglecting the business side. Some of you know what it's like to have worked for an entire year only to realize that you weren't earning a profit at the end of the year. And just because you had money coming in because you kept signing jobs doesn't mean you're actually making money. So learning how to build emotional intelligence and managing your cash flow and cultivating resilience, right? These are skills that the successful remodelers have. So you need to learn how to prioritize not only what your technical skills are, but also your ability to lead, manage your finances, and build a reputation based on integrity and quality. For me specifically, when I first started in remodeling, a couple of the employees that I had for me, they weren't capable of helping my business grow to the level that we got to. And they didn't possess the skills, and I didn't have the ability when I first hired them to teach them all the things that they lacked in, right? As I got more skills and learned how to be a better business owner, I learned how to hire better, I learned how to manage better, I was able to attract a higher quality employee. And that's how it goes. When I first started, I wasn't talented enough to have the employees that I eventually had in my business. It took me having to learn how to get better. And when I did, then now I could attract the employees who ultimately helped me grow the business because they were rock stars at what they did. So understand, at the end of the day, that if there's just one thing you could take away from today's episode, I'd suggest it be this. Don't settle for the common path. Don't take advice just because it seems like everybody else is doing it that way. Your clue to know to go in a different direction is, wait a minute, so many people seem to be doing it this way, there's probably a better way, right? It's just fact. The average person is average for a reason. You want to be above average, you have to do above average things. So cultivate your self-awareness, challenge your status quo, and make decisions that align with your long-term goals. The most successful remodelers are those who are constantly refining their thinking and questioning the habits and advice that others take for granted. I want to thank you for tuning in to the Hack Hour podcast. If this episode resonated with you, please be sure to subscribe, leave a review, like this episode, and share it with anyone else that you feel it could impact their life. Let's raise the bar in this industry together, right? Keep building with pride and professionalism. Remember, your success is ready for you. Are you ready for it?
Thank you for listening to the Hack Hour podcast. It would be awesome if you would leave us a quick review on iTunes. To further your remodeling success, go to remodelingriches.com.